bell rang like a gunshot in the stale air of Ridge Valley High, but Ivana's Hawthorne didn't move. His heart hammered against his ribs as Mr. Whitaker's voice cut through the shuffle of backpacks and scraping chairs. "Ivan, stay back a minute." The classroom emptied in a blur of laughter and locker slams, leaving only the echo of sneakers on linoleum and the faint scent of chalk dust hanging like regret. Ivana's gripped his notebook tighter, the spiral wire digging into his palm, because he knew this wasn't about the essay he'd bombed. It was about the way he'd stared too long during yesterday's poetry reading, the way his eyes had lingered on the curve of the teacher's jaw when he recited Whitman like it was a confession. Julian Whitaker shut the door with a soft click that echoed louder than thunder. He leaned against it for a beat, his broad shoulders filling the frame, navy button-down rolled to his elbows revealing forearms etched with faint veins from years of hauling books and hiding truths. At 34, he looked every bit the small-town English teacher who'd traded dreams for stability. Dark hair swept back with a touch of silver at the temples, wire-rimmed glasses perched on a nose that had been broken once in a bar fight he never talked about, and eyes the color of Pacific fog gray-blue, seeing too much. "You've got that look again," he said, voice low and steady, like the rumble of waves against the cliffs outside town. "The one that says you're carrying the weight of the world in that notebook of yours." Ivana swallowed, his throat dry as the summer chaparral beyond the school windows. Ridge Valley was the kind of California nowhere that clung to the edge of the Central Valley. Golden hills rolling into strip malls and tract homes, where everyone knew your business before you did, and secrets festered like weeds in cracked sidewalks. He'd grown up here, son of a mechanic dad who fixed Fords and a mom who waitressed at the diner on Highway 99, both too exhausted to notice their boy sketching faces in the margins of his lit books. Faces that weren't girls from the cheer squad, but echoes of the men in old movies, the ones who moved with a quiet grace that twisted something deep in his gut. 18 now, on the cusp of community college or whatever came after, Ivan felt like a ghost in his own skin, invisible except when Mr. Whitaker called on him, pulling words from him like threads from a fraying sweater. "I don't know what you mean," Ivan lied, but his voice cracked on the edges, betraying him. He shifted in his seat, the wooden desk groaning under his weight, which wasn't much, 5'10" of lean muscle from running the back trails alone, dodging the jocks who called him fag under their breath after gym class. It wasn't new. The whispers had started in sophomore year when he turned down Becky Larson at homecoming, mumbling something about homework. But lately, it burned hotter, fueled by the dreams that woke him sweating in his twin bed, sheets tangled around legs that ached for touch he couldn't name. Julian crossed the room in 3 measured steps, perching on the edge of the desk beside Ivan's, close enough that the faint cedar of his cologne mixed with the room's musty paper smell. He wasn't touching him. Not yet. But the air between them hummed, charged like the static before a Santa Ana wind. "Whitman," Julian said, tapping the open book on Ivan's desk, leaves of grass dog-eared and underlined in frantic pencil. "You quoted him wrong in your paper. Not the words, but the soul of it. You wrote about longing like it's a cage, Ivan. But it's not. It's the key." Ivan's breath hitched. He'd poured everything into that essay. The stolen glances at Julian during lectures, the way the teacher's laugh lines crinkled when he debated symbolism with the class, the forbidden heat that pooled low in Ivan's belly when their fingers brushed passing out assignments. It was reckless, stupid, a spark in dry grass, but God, it felt alive. "What if the cage is real?" he whispered, finally meeting those fog-gray eyes. "What if breaking out means losing everything?" Julian's hand hovered, then settled lightly on Ivan's shoulder, warm, steady, a Liffey van in the storm. "Then you learn to fly anyway." The words hung there, simple and shattering, and in that moment, with the door closed and the world locked out, Ivana's Hawthorne realized this lesson wasn't in any textbook. It was etched in the lines of a man's face, the beat of a heart too long silenced, and the fragile bridge they were about to cross together. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as Julian pulled back, breaking the spell but not the tension. He straightened his glasses, a habit when nerves crept in, and cleared his throat. "Look, kid, Ivan, I'm not blind. I see you. The way you light up when we talk books, the way you shrink when Coach Harlan eyes you in the hall. This town's got its claws in deep, but it doesn't own you." He paused, glancing at the window where the late afternoon sun painted the sycamores in amber. Ridge Valley High was a Arrivank, built in the 50s with creaky floors and a gym that smelled of sweat and Old Glory days, But to Julian, it was a prison he'd walked into 5 years ago, fleeing a life in San Francisco where AIDS had taken his first love and left him hollow. Teaching was supposed to be redemption, molding minds instead of breaking his own. But Ivan was a curveball, a mirror to the boy Julian had been at 18, hiding crushes on the drama teacher while quoting Ginsberg in his journal. Ivan nodded, but his mind raced. It's not just the town. Me. I don't fit. Not with the guys, not with the girls everyone expects. I read about it online, guys like me in places like this, but it feels like a dream. Or a nightmare. He flipped open his notebook, revealing sketches. A silhouette against a sunset, strong hands holding a book, fragments of desire scribbled in the margins. What if it's wrong? Julian's jaw tightened, a flicker of old pain crossing his features. He'd come out at 22, in a Castro bar that reeked of smoke and possibility, only to bury it again after Marcus died. Buried it under lesson plans and PDA meetings, under the polite nods from neighbors who assumed he was just particular about dating. Single at 34 in Ridge Valley meant whispers, not parades. Wrong's what they tell you to keep you small, he said softly. I know. I was you once. Hiding in libraries, pretending the ache was just growing pains. He leaned in again, voice dropping to a conspiratorial hush. But listen, there's a world out there, beyond the valley, cities where men like us walk hand in hand, no apologies. You get there by starting here. His finger tapped Ivan's chest, right over his heart, and the touch lingered a second too long, sending sparks skittering up Ivan's spine. They talked until the janitor's keys jingled down the hall, about Kerouac's road trips as metaphors for escape, about the hidden queer history in American lit, from Melville's unspoken bonds to Baldwin's raw truths. Ivan laughed for the first time in weeks, a sound bright and unguarded, and Julian felt it like sunlight cracking through clouds. When they finally stood, the classroom felt smaller, warmer, a sanctuary carved from routine. Come back tomorrow, Julian said at the door, hand on the knob but eyes holding Ivan's. After school. We'll dissect that Whitman again. Properly. Ivan stepped into the cooling evening, backpack slung over one shoulder, the weight of the day lifting like fog burned off by dawn. His truck, an old Chevy his dad had salvaged, rattled to life in the parking lot, and as he drove the winding roads home, past almond orchards heavy with dusk, he replayed the touch, the words, the way Julian's voice wrapped around him like a promise. Dinner was silent. Dad nursing a beer, Mom stirring chili with weary grace, asking about school in that rote way that invited no depths. Ivan mumbled through it, excusing himself early to his room, where posters of indie bands masked the walls and his laptop glowed with forbidden tabs, forums for confused teens, stories of first kisses in truck beds under starlit skies. That night, sleep came fitful, dreams weaving Julian's face into coastal waves crashing against hidden coves. He woke to birdsong filtering through his blinds, heart pounding with a mix of dread and thrill. School dragged, algebra blurring into history, the cafeteria a roar of indifference where Ivan sat alone with his sandwich, sketching Julian's profile on a napkin. By last period, his palms sweated as he lingered in the hall, watching classmates spill out. English was last. He slipped in early, claiming a front row seat, notebook open like armor. Julian entered with his usual stride, stack of papers under arm, but his eyes found Ivan's immediately, a quick flash of warmth that no one else caught. The lesson was on forbidden love in literature. Romeo and Juliet's rash fire, Gatsby's green light illusions. Love isn't tidy, Julian said, pacing the front, chalk dust on his slacks. It's messy, it's dangerous. It asks you to risk the fall. His gaze lingered on Ivan during that line, and the room felt electric, every word a coded message. After the bell, the others filed out, but Ivan stayed rooted. Julian locked the door this time, de-Ivanberate the click a seal on their secret world. You came, he said, smile tugging at his lips, boyish and rare. Couldn't not, Ivan admitted, standing to meet him halfway. They were closer now, the desks a labyrinth between them, but the space shrank with every breath. Julian pulled a chair beside his, gesturing for Ivan to sit, and they dove in, Whitman first, then spilling into personal territories. Ivan confessed the isolation, the crushes on faceless boys and dreams. Julian shared fragments of his past, the San Francisco nights alive with drag shows and leather bars, the grief that followed like a shadow. "I thought teaching would fix me," Julian murmured, fingers tracing the edge of his coffee mug, black, steaming from the staff lounge. "Show kids like you that words can save. But you're reminding me." The sun dipped low, painting the room in oranges and purples, and when their knees brushed under the desk, neither pulled away. It was innocent at first, a graze, then a press, the heat building like embers. Ivan's pulse thundered. He'd never been this close to anyone, not like this. "What are we doing?" he breathed, voice barely audible. Julian's hand found his then, tentative, calluses rough from grading papers brushing soft skin. "Learning," he whispered, thumb stroking Ivan's knuckles. "Both of us." The kiss, when it came, was inevitable, slow, exploratory, tasting of coffee and courage. Ivan melted into it, hands fisting Julian's shirt, the world narrowing to the press of lips, the shared exhale of surrender. It lasted minutes or hours. Time dissolved in the classroom's hush. They broke apart gasping, foreheads touching, reality crashing back. We can't," Julian said, but his arms stayed wrapped around Ivan's waist, contradicting every word. "The rules, the town. I'm your teacher." Ivan nodded, fear and fire warring in his chest. "Then teach me how to hide it, how to want it anyway." They parted with promises. Texts on burners, meetings in the hills. But as Ivan drove home under a sky bruised with stars, he knew the door was open now, and some lessons couldn't be unlearned. The text started that night, cryptic at first. "Julian, Whitman's not enough. Try Auden tomorrow. Ivan, on it. What about the part where he says love's the rarest ache? Pause, then we'll discuss. After." Ivan lay in bed, phone glowing like a talisman, rereading until the words blurred. Sleep claimed him with dreams of hands on skin, of whispers in the dark that echoed like poetry. Morning brought the grind of routine. Alarm at 6, shower steam fogging the mirror where he traced Julian's initials in the condensation, erasing them quick before Mom knocked. Breakfast was cereal and small talk. Dad griping about a late carburetor. Mom reminding him of the counselor's appointment next week. "You're quiet lately, honey," she said, eyes soft with worry. Ivan forced a smile. "Just school stuff." The lie sat heavy, but it was his armor now. Ridge Valley High loomed like a faded postcard. Red brick faded to pink, flagpole creaking in the breeze off the Sierra foothills. Ivan parked in the back lot, hood up to shield from prying eyes, and slipped into the stream of students. Cheerleaders in ponytails, footballers in Letterman jackets, the invisible ones like him blending into lockers. English was third period. He arrived early again, heart a drumbeat as Julian swept in, briefcase swinging, announcing a pop quiz on symbolism that had the class groaning. But under the desk, their eyes met. A nod, a spark, and Ivan aced it, pen flying across the page with borrowed fire. Lunch was solitude in the library, buried in the stacks where dust motes danced in shafts of light. He texted Julian from the bathroom stall later. "Ace the quiz. Your fault, can't stop thinking symbols." Reply, "Good. Symbols are just secrets in plain sight. Meet me at the overlook after? The one by the old mill." Ivan's stomach flipped. The overlook was neutral ground, hiker spot with views of the valley sprawling like a rumpled quilt, far from town eyes. After the final bell, he grabbed his pack and bolted, truck kicking gravel as he wound up the dirt road. Julian's sedan was already there, tucked under oaks, engine cooling. He stepped out in jeans and a Henley that hugged his frame, looking less like a teacher and more like the man from Ivan's sketches, rugged, real. "You made it," Julian said, voice warm as the late sun. They hiked the short trail in companionable silence, boots crunching pine needles, the air thick with sage and possibility. At the overlook, they sat on a fallen log, legs dangling over the drop, valley below a patchwork of farms and freeways snaking toward Fresno. "This place?" Julian started, pulling a thermos from his pack. "Coffee, black as their secrets. It's where I come to breathe, when the walls close in." He poured 2 cups, handing one over, fingers lingering. Ivan sipped, the bitterness grounding him. "Feels like freedom up here. No stairs, no questions." He leaned back, shoulder brushing Julian's, the contact sending warmth spreading like ink in water. They talked for hours, about Ivan's art, hidden sketches of male forms that Julian promised to critique. About Julian's unpublished novel, A Queer Odyssey shelved after Marcus. He was a painter, Julian said, voice softening with memory. Wild hair, hands always stained blue from skies he chased on canvas. We met at a reading in the Haight. Thought it was forever. His eyes misted, and Ivan reached out, hand covering Julian's on the log. It's not gone, Ivan said fiercely. He made you who you are. The guy who sees me. The words bridged them, and Julian turned, cupping Ivan's face with paint-stained hands. Wait. No. Ink-stained from journals. The kiss was deeper this time, urgent, tongues tentative then bold, bodies pressing close on the rough bark. Ivan's hands roamed Julian's back, mapping the strength beneath, while Julian's fingers tangled in Ivan's hair, pulling just enough to advance at a gasp. They broke for air, laughing breathless, the valley echoing their joy. God! Ivan, Julian murmured, forehead to forehead. You're dangerous. But his eyes shone, alive in a way Ivan hadn't seen. Dusk fell as they descended, promising more weekend drives to Bakersfield's indie bookstores, coded notes in returned essays. Ivan drove home buzzing, windows down, radio blasting the National's melancholy croon. Dinner was tacos, family chatter about Aunt Rita's visit, but Ivan floated through it, excusing himself to sketch by lamplight. Julian's profile against the sunset, lips curved in that secret smile. The next days blurred into a rhythm of stolen moments. Classroom glances evolved to brushed hands in the hall, texts laced with double meanings. Ivan's grades soared. He devoured books Julian recommended, Giovanni's Room, Call Me by Your Name, each page a mirror to his unfolding self. But cracks showed. A teammate, Brody, cornering him after practice. Heard you're sucking up to Whitaker. What's your deal, Hawthorne? Got a crush or something? Laughter, mean-edged, but Ivan shrugged it off, punching the bag harder in the garage later, sweat stinging the doubt. Julian felt it too, the pull of caution. At their next meet in a motel on the outskirts, seedy but anonymous, he voiced it over pizza on the bed. We have to be careful. One slip, and he trailed off, tracing Ivan's collarbone with a finger. The room smelled of bleach and regret, neon sign buzzing outside. Ivan pulled him down, silencing doubts with kisses that trailed fire. Then don't slip. Teach me. Clothes shed like old skins, bodies exploring in the dim lamp glow. Tentative touches turning fervent, gasps mingling with whispers of names. It was Ivan's first time, raw and reverent. Julian patient, guiding with hands that trembled. Afterward, tangled in sheets, Ivan traced the scar on Julian's hip, bar fight remnant, and asked about Marcus again. Stories flowed. Lazy Sundays in Golden Gate Park, arguments over abstracts, the hospital vigil that ended in silence. You're healing me, Julian confessed, voice thick. Didn't know I needed it. Ivan woke to dawn light, Julian already dressing. College apps, he reminded gently. Push them. This town's not your end. They parted with a kiss at the door, Ivan's truck bowing out toward home, heart full but fragile. The applications loomed like storm clouds. UC Riverside, Fresno State, dreams of art programs in LA, but Ivan buried them under the high of their secret. Weekends became escapes. Drives up Highway 99 to Modesto's used bookshops, where they'd linger over first editions, fingers intertwining behind shelves. Julian shared his vinyl collection in the car. Springsteen anthems of blue-collar longing, Bowie's glam defiance, and Ivan sang off-key, voice cracking on high notes, Julian's laughter a bomb. But Ridge Valley whispered. At school, notes appeared in Ivan's locker. Fairy boy loves the prof? Scrawled in Sharpie, anonymous but venomous. He burned them in the parking lot ashtray, but the poison seeped. Homefront tensions brewed too. Dad finding his laptop open to a forum post about coming out in conservative towns. Slamming it shut with a glare. What the hell's this, son? Some phase. Ivan mumbled denials, but the air thickened, meals silent as grudges. Julian noticed the shadows under Ivan's eyes during their next after-school tutoring. The classroom door clicked shut, routine now, but today Julian pulled him into a hug first, arms enveloping, chin on Ivan's crown. Talk to me, he urged, guiding him to the window seat overlooking the quad. Ivan spilled it all, the notes, the confrontation, the fear coiling like barbed wire. They know something, or suspect, and if they find out about us. He buried his face in Julian's neck, inhaling cedar and safety. Julian held tighter, but his mind raced. He dodged rumors before, a flamboyant substitute's gossip, a parent's offhand, is he, you know? But this was fire to his tinder. Still, Ivan's vulnerability cracked him open. We're careful, he soothed, but then reckless. Come to my place, tonight. My sister's out of town. House to ourselves. Ivan's eyes lit. Julian's bungalow was on Elm Street. Modest craftsman with a porch swing and bookshelves groaning under tomes. That evening, Ivan parked 2 blocks away, hood up against the chill, heart sprinting as he slipped through the backyard gate. Julian met him at the kitchen door, apron dusted with flour, pasta from scratch, a skill from Italian summers with Nana. Welcome, he said, pulling Ivan in for a kiss that tasted of garlic and home. The house breathed life. Jazz on the turntable, Coltrane's sax weaving through dinner talk. They ate at the scarred oak table, candles flickering, Ivan devouring stories of Julian's college days. Protests in Berkeley, first Pride March with signs and screams of joy. Felt like shedding chains, Julian said, eyes distant. Ivan reached across, hand on hand. Show me. After dishes, they migrated to the living room. Plush couch, Afghan throw, fire crackling in the grate. Kisses escalated, hands bolder, clothes pooling on the rug. Julian's body was a landscape Ivan mapped with reverence. The dip of his spine, the constellation of moles on his thigh, the way he arched under touch like a bowstring. They moved to the bedroom upstairs. 4-poster bed with iron frame, sheets cool against fevered skin. It was slower this time, intimate, Julian whispering guidance, praises that made Ivan bloom. Beautiful, Julian breathed against his ear. So damn beautiful. Dawn found them entwined, coffee brewing downstairs. Ivan traced Julian's sleeping face, memorizing the piece there, but guilt gnawed, the lies stacking like bricks. He slipped out before full light, note on the pillow. Last night was everything. More soon. School Monday was a minefield. Brody and his crew jostled Ivan in the hall. Hey, tutor boy. Whitaker giving extra credit? Snickers followed, but Ivan held his head high, Chanivang Julian's quiet steel. In class, their eyes met over sonnets. Shakespeare's fair youth, coded queerness Julian unpacked with fervor. After, door shut, they stole a hurried embrace, Julian's hands framing Ivan's face. You okay? Better now. But the lie tasted bitter. The escalation came midweek. Ivan's phone buzzed during gym. Unknown number. Saw you at Whitaker's. Pervert. Photo attached. Blurry shot from the neighbor's fence. Ivan's silhouette at the gate. Panic surged. Ice in veins. He deleted it, blocked, but the damage rooted. He confronted Julian after school, door slamming harder than intended. They know. Someone saw. Voice breaking, he paced, fists clenched. Julian paled, pulling him close. We'll handle it. Deny. Distance. No. Ivan shoved back, hurt flaring. Distance? After everything? You think I can just switch it off? Tears stung. Vulnerability raw. Julian's face crumpled, pulling Ivan down to the floor, backs against desks. I'm scared too. For you, graduation's months away. For me, job, reputation. He cupped Ivan's cheek, thumb brushing tears. But I won't let go. Not of this. Not of you. They clung there, sobs quieting to resolve. Plan formed. Cooler heads, public distance, private fire banked but burning. Texts shifted to logistics. Meets in the hills, burners only. Ivan burned the photo printout in his backyard fire pit, ashes scattering like prayers. Yet the town tightened its noose. Whispers grew, faculty lounge murmurs, a counselor's check-in with Ivan about stress. Dad's questions sharpened. Who's this Whitaker guy? Hearing things. Mom's worry lines deepened, baking pies as peace offerings. Julian retreated inward, grading late into nights, wine bottle half empty by his elbow. Ivan felt the fracture. Their hilltop meets tents. kisses fierce but edged with desperation. One evening, under a meteor shower, Ivan broke. Is this worth it? The hiding, the hurt. Julian's eyes blazed in starlight. You're worth it. This us is the truest thing I've known since Marcus. He kissed Ivan then, pouring soul into it, bodies joining on a blanket spread over earth, urgent and affirming. Stars wheeled above as they shattered together, reaffirming the bond. But dawn brought reality. Ivan's counselor appointment. Mrs. Hale, kind eyes but probing. Rumors, Ivana's, about you and Mr. Whitaker. Is there truth? Denial spilled easy, practiced, but her gaze lingered. You're safe here, whatever it is. Home, confrontation erupted. Dad, beer-fueled. That teacher's filling your head with garbage. Saw the looks in parent-teacher night. Shouts echoed. Mom mediating, tears in eyes. Ivan stormed out, driving blind to Julian's, pounding the door till it opened. Julian pulled him in, holding through the storm. Stay, he whispered. They talked till exhaustion. Plans to accelerate Ivan's apps. Julian's resignation letter drafted in secret. In bed, arms locked, Ivan confessed love first. I love you, even the mess. Julian's response was a vow, sealed in darkness. Love you more. We'll make it. Love hung between them like a fragile lantern, casting warmth but fragile against gales. Ivan threw himself into apps, essays laced with Julian's edits, passages on identity's quiet rebellions, drawing from their talks. Acceptance letters trickled in Fresno State, full ride for art, UC Davis merit scholarship. Doors opening, Julian texted, emoji of a key. Ivan replied with a heart, but the noose tightened. School turned hostile. Notes escalated to vandalism. Queer keyed into his locker, rainbow slurs on his truck in the lot. Brody's gang escalated. Shoves in halls, a prank water balloon laced with something foul. Ivan reported anonymously, but Principal Vargas's investigation fizzled. Kids being kids, he sighed in assembly, eyes avoiding the Queer Alliance poster. Julian seethed in staff meetings, advocating for sensitivity training, but backlash brewed. A parent, Harlan, coach's wife, confronted him post-conference. My boy's saying things about you and that Hawthorne kid. Unnatural. Julian's denial was steel, but the seed planted. Their meets shifted underground. Midnight drives to isolated beaches near Pismo, sand cold under blankets, waves crashing like applause. One night, bonfire flickering, Ivan sketched Julian nude against flames. Bold lines capturing the play of light on muscle, vulnerability in repose. For you, he said, handing the pad. Julian's eyes misted, pulling Ivan close. Burns brighter than any fire. Intimacy deepened, bodies fluent now, touches speaking what words faltered. Julian introduced toys from his drawer, silk ties, a vibrator humming secrets, guiding Ivan with patience born of care. Trust, he murmured as Ivan arched, pleasure cresting like tides. Afterward, talks turned future. Ivan in dorms, Julian visiting under mentor guise. Long-term, a cabin in Big Sur, writing together. But betrayal loomed. Ivan's burner buzzed mid-class. Tell or we will. Attached. Grainy video from the motel window, shadows entwined. Sender, anonymous, but IP traced in panic to school Wi-Fi, Brody. Ivan showed Julian after, door bolted, faces ashen. We fight, Julian said, voice steady. Lawyers, evidence, it's a legal extortion. But fear not. Ivan's safety, Julian's tenure. They drafted responses, ceased demands, blocks, but the video circulated whispers. Home fractured further. Mom found the sketches in Ivan's trash, Julian's face, intimate. Ivana's, she whispered, piecing it. Tears flowed in the kitchen, her hugging him fierce. My boy, why didn't you say? Dad's rage followed. Bellows, Bible thumped on table. Under my roof, with a man old enough to know better. Ivan packed a bag, crashing at Julian's, door locked against the world. Julian held him through nights of sobs, applying for transfers, Seattle schools, fresh starts. Together, he promised, but cracks showed. Julian's distance in daylight, phone calls to lawyers terse. Ivan sensed the pull, duty to career, fear of scandal. The storm broke Friday. Assembly on respect, but Harlan cornered Julian post. Videos out. Board knows. It had leaked, sent to trustees' parents' email chain exploding. Sirens wailed metaphorically. By noon, Vargas summoned Julian. Suspension pending investigation. And the boy, Count Zivang mandatory. Ivan waited in the lot, truck idling, when cops arrived. Welfare check. Dad's call. You're coming home, officer said. Hand on Ivan's arm. Struggle, shouts. Julian emerged, face gaunt, pleading. He's 18. Let him choose. Chaos. Dad screeching tires into lot, Mom trailing. Fists flew. Dad lunging at Julian. Predator. Ivan shoved between, bruised but unbowed. I love him. It's real. Cuffs clicked on no one, de-escalation, but the damage scarred. Ivan went home under watch, Julian to empty bungalow, job hanging by thread. Nights apart, tortured. Texts. Ivan, miss you. Fight. Julian. Always. But careful. Ivan plotted escape. Pack. Flee to aunt in LA, but loyalty chained. Reunion came stolen. Julian sneaking to Ivan's window post-midnight, like Romeo. Climb creek into room lit by moon. Embrace desperate, kisses bruising. I quit, Julian whispered. Resignation tomorrow. We go now. Portland. Fresh names if needed. Ivan's heart soared, but doubt flickered. Your life books, teaching. Ours now. They made love quiet, bodies muffling moans, reaffirming in shadows. Dawn parted them, Julian vanishing into mist. Ivan faced family. Breakfast ultimatum. Choose, Dad growled. Mom's eyes begged understanding. I choose me, Ivan said, bag slung. And him. Door slammed on sobs, truck roaring to Julian's. They loaded books, clothes, Ivan's sketches. Heading north, Highway 101 curving like a promise. Radio played Fleetwood Mac. Go your own way as tears dried to resolve. But betrayal's shadow lingered. Leaked video viral in town groups, accusations flying. Julian's phone rang, old colleague. Boards pressing charges. Statutory? No, but ethics breach. Pull over, map spread. Fight or run. Ivan's hand on his fight for us. Portland's rain greeted them like a shroud. Gray skies over Willamette bridges. Cafes steaming with hipster anonymity. They crashed in a motel first. Neon vacancy. Bed sagging but theirs. Then found a sublet. Tiny apartment above a bookstore. Shelves lining walls like fortifications. Julian bartended nights at a dive called The Anchor, slinging IPAs to loggers and artists. Ivan enrolled online at community college. Art classes Fuivang days. Sketches evolving from fear to flourish. Freedom tasted bittersweet. Mornings tangled in sheets. Coffee brewing to birdsong. Not Ridge Valley's mockingbirds, but gulls crying over the river. Walks hand in hand through Powell's city of books. Fingers laced unashamed. Drew smiles, not stares. This, Julian said one afternoon in the rare sun, park bench overlooking roses, is what I promised you. Ivan leaned head on shoulder, sketching passersby. A tattooed couple kissing, an old man feeding ducks. But ghosts pursued. Lawsuit papers arrived certified. Ridge Valley District suing for breach, defamation counters from Harlan's. Lawyers, pro bono from a queer rights group in Seattle. Advised settlement. Non-disclosure, Julian's teaching license suspended 2 years. Fight could drag, they warned. Expose the boy more. Ivan raged in their kitchen, pots clanging. Expose? It's truth. We loved. Love clean. Julian pulled him close, but weariness etched deeper. Bar shifts hollowing eyes. Rejection letters from Pacific Northwest colleges piling. Intimacy strained too. Sex once fervent turned routine. Julian distant mid-thrust. Mind on appeals. Ivan confronted over takeout tie. You're slipping away. Like it's easier without me. Julian's fork dropped. Not without for you. This mess taints. You deserve unscarred starts. Tears welled. Ivan saw the fracture. Love warring with protection. Don't, Ivan pleaded, climbing into lap. We're scarred together. Kisses reignited spark, slow and reclaiming. Bodies rediscovering in lamplight. Afterward, plans reformed. Julian's novel dusted off, Ivan illustrating chapters. Queer cowboys in Oregon wilds, echoes of their escape. Town tendrils reached. Mom's email, halting. Miss you. Dad's in AA talking. Come home. Ivan's reply, photos of Portland fog. Healing. Love you. Dad's silence deafening. Betrayal deepened when Brody's face popped on news feed. Interview with local station. That teacher groomed him. Ruined lives. Lies twisted. Ivan's fists clenched, drafting public response. Anonymous op-ed to the Oregonian. Love isn't a crime. A survivor's truth. Published under pseudonym, it went viral, queer forums ablaze, support pouring. Julian read it aloud, voice breaking. Proud, he said, pulling Ivan into bed. That night, passion raw, teeth on skin, nails raking, reclaiming agency in moans. My warrior, Julian gasped as they crested. Crisis peaked midwinter. Board hearing via Zoom, Julian in suit, Ivan off-camera support. Testimonies droned. Parents' outrage, Vargas's equivocations. Then Ivan's turn, unscripted. He saved me. Taught me to love myself when the town wanted me buried. Words poured. Poetry of pain, resilience, silencing the room. Verdict. Settlement, license intact post-probation, Harlan suit dropped. Ivanef flooded, but cost lingered. Julian's eyes hollow post-call. Won, but the dreams dented. Ivan held him through sobs. First tears Julian shed in months. We'll mend. Together. Spring bloomed tentative. Cherry blossoms dusting streets. Ivan's exhibit at college gallery. Portraits of lovers in light. Julian central. Titled lesson in courage. Opening night. Hand in hand. Toasts raised. To doors closed and opened. Yet inner conflict brewed. Ivan's calls home increased. Mom's voice softening. Dad's gruff. How's the weather? One weekend. Drive south. Reconciliation tentative. Dinner strained but unbroken. Dad's handshake to Julian. Hurt him, you're dead. But eyes held respect, grudging. Back north, doubts surfaced for Ivan. Late nights sketching alone, wondering if Portland was cage or haven. What if we outgrew? He voiced one eve, rain pattering windows. Julian's response. Road trip, California coast, Big Sur cliffs. Drives with windows down, Springsteen blasting, stopping at coves for swims in icy Pacific. One night, campfire on beach, Julian pulled a ring, simple silver band, engraved key. Not proposal, promise. To fly together. Ivan's yes was tears and yes, slipping it on. Love reaffirmed under stars. Bodies salt slick. Waves serenade. But humanity's test came summer. Marcus's anniversary. Julian drove to San Francisco alone first. Grave visit in Calma. Marble stone under cypresses. Ivan joined Eve. Hand in Julian's as stories flowed. Laughter, loss. Room for both, Julian said. Ivan's head on shoulder. You don't replace. Healing wove them tighter. Julian's novel querying agents. Ivan's commissions rolling. Portland embraced. Pride floats they marched. Rainbows on cheeks, chanting freedom. Yet echo of betrayal. Anonymous letter to their P.O. box. Ridge Valley postmark, monsters. They burned it together, ashes to wind. Not us, Ivan said. Survivors. 2 years blurred into the rhythm of reclaimed lives. Portland's drizzle a constant companion to their growth. Julian's novel, Whispers on the Wire, landed a small press deal. Queer presses in Brooklyn hailed it as Baldwin meets the Heartland. And readings packed cafes. Ivan at front row, sketching crowds. His art bloomed too. Gallery shows in Seattle. Murals for local shelters depicting intertwined hands against stormy skies. The ring on Ivan's finger, now matched on Julian's, gleamed under stage lights, a quiet defiance. Ridge Valley faded to sepia memory, but threads pulled. Mom's visits became annual, train rides south, filling their fridge with jerky and pies, thawing with Julian over chess. Dad's letters arrived sporadic. Clippings of Ivan's reviews, scrawled proud, son. No visits, but progress in ink. Challenges lingered subtle. Julian's license reinstated, but offers wary. Community colleges first, whispers of that scandal. He taught nights, voice steady on Dickinson's dashes, but homecomings brought vents. They see the label, not the man. Ivan listened, then led to bed body's antidote, slow explorations turning fervent, reminding of worth. Ivan's doubts evolved. Success bred independence, whispers of solo shows in New York. What if paths diverge? He voiced one autumn, leaves carpeting the Willamette path. Julian's hand tightened. Then we choose daily. Love's not chain. It's compass. Therapy joined routine. Queer-affirming counselor unpacking scars. Ivan's internalized shame, Julian's grief ghosts. Sessions unearthed tenderness. Julian admitting fear of loss. Ivan voicing abandonment echoes from Dad's rages. Climax brewed unbidden. Ridge Valley reunion invite. High school centennial. Ivan as alum speaker. Come, Mom urged on call. Show them, Julian demurred. Your triumph, not mine. But Ivan insisted. Ours. Drive south tense. Highway 5 a vein of old wounds. Town unchanged, orchards dusty. High school banner faded. Welcome lukewarm. Stairs and diner, Harlan's glare from afar. Assembly hall packed, Ivan at podium 20 now taller assured. Words flowed. I left hiding. Found love in unexpected lessons. Not shame, but strength. Eyes found Julian in back row, hand raised subtle wave. Q&A turned ambush. Brody, burly now, mic in hand. That love ruined lives. Teacher prayed. Ivan's voice steel. Love freed. You bullied, he built. Check your mirror. Applause rippled, halting. Harlan stormed out. Post-speech, handshakes tentative. Mom's hug fierce. Dad waited curbside. First meet in years, truck idling. Spoke good, he grunted, eyes wet. Forgive the old fool? Ivan's nod broke dams. Embrace awkward but real. Julian watched from afar, pride swelling. Nightcap at motel. Echo of beginnings. Bodies celebrating victory, urgent and grateful. You slayed, Julian murmured, tracing Ivan's jaw. Dawn brought homeward. Lighter. Back in Portland, ripple effects. Job offer for Julian. Full prof at Reed College. Ethics cleared. Ivan's New York solo greenlit, but deferral. Here first. Us. Humanity deepened in quiet. Volunteering at youth center, Julian mentoring scared teens. Ivan's sketches donated. Walls alive with stories. One kid, Jamie, 17, wide-eyed from Idaho, echoed Ivan's youth. How'd you know? He asked. Ivan smiled, Julian's hand in his. A door closed, then opened. Ages turned. Julian's 37 to Ivan's 22. But time honed, not hollowed. Anniversaries marked beaches, Pismo first, then Cannon Beach, rings renewed in sand. Novels sequel brewed, Ivan co-illustrating. Gallery dreams intertwined. Betrayal's final echo, Harlan's obituary, heart attack, alone. No glee, just pity. Hate eats, Julian said, pouring wine. Toast. To compassion, even for them. Culmination came spring equinox. Rooftop party, city lights sprawling. Julian on knee proper now, velvet box with gold bands. Marry me? Not for law, but legacy. Ivan's yes echoed laughter. Cheers. Ceremony small, riverbank, mom officiating via Zoom ordainment. Friends in rainbow ties. Vows raw. Julian's, you taught me hope. Ivan's, you showed me home. Life post. Cabin in Cascades weekends. Writing retreats where words flowed like streams. Ivan's murals spanned coasts. Julian's lectures inspired. Children. Surrogacy talks, but first each other. Years layered grace. Dad's visit. Fishing rods in hand. Stories swapped over beers. Love's love, he admitted. Mom's grandkids' dreams danced in eyes. In quiet eves, door to past ajar but not entered, lesson learned. Change ripples eternal. Ivan, sketching Julian by fur I vanked, knew. The close was beginning, forever unfolding.